Knox County Mobile Meals is partnering with the Community Action Committee, or CAC, to make sure senior citizens are staying safe. While delivering food, the organization will have fans readily available to give to seniors who may not have air conditioning or those who are having trouble staying cool. Now, Sarah Keel, the program manager with Mobile Meals, shared that area seniors are at high risk of dehydration and overheating. She says the organization is determined to do all it can.
Our volunteers are there rain or shine, no matter how hot or cold it is outside. And we find that that's the most important time to be checking on people because everyone knows things come up. You know, you have technical issues, you may have something go wrong in your home. And if you don't have someone in your life to help you take care of that, especially if you're a vulnerable senior, it can turn into a much bigger problem.
If you are a senior needing assistance as the temperatures rise, you can go to knoxseniors.org. Also today, we heard from the Knox County Emergency Management Agency. To stay safe in the heat, the agency recommends wearing loose or light-colored clothing, staying hydrated, and finding places to really cool off.
Libraries, senior centers, pools and splash pads can be really fun, but those public buildings that are open during the day are really good resources. And then there are a bunch of other buildings available as well. So malls, stores, restaurants should all have air conditioning on as well.
You know, remember, it's important to limit and manage your time outdoors. You can do so by finding shade or utilizing one of the public areas with air conditioning, and make sure to drink lots of water. Our next big story takes us to another impact from the weather around East Tennessee. New information tonight on recent flooding that we've seen throughout the region. We now have recordings of 911 calls made by Cocke County residents seeking rescue on Wednesday. You know, we introduced you to one of the callers in our coverage last night after the hostel that her family called home sustained heavy flood damage. Now, she called 911 and described the harrowing scene as floodwaters rushed into the gorge and surrounded her home.
It's never flooded like this. Even the house is getting wet.
Okay, yeah, we've actually got them on the way to your house there at 4255.
We've got a propane tank that's floating. I don't think it's disconnected yet, but it might be washing away. Our cars may wash away, but so far they're not.
Okay, alrighty. I've got everybody coming to you. What is your name, honey?
Maria Guzman.
Guzman told 6 News last night that in the 30 years that her family has owned the property and in the years before that, the gorge in Cocke County had never seen flooding like this.
When we bought the place like that long ago, this is the Green Corner Road. This was the Green family farm. The family said that in all the generations that their family had been here, the Greens, it had neither creek had ever flooded. So we weren't expecting that. Even during Helene, these creeks didn't flood. I felt safe-ish.
You know, she goes on to say that communities throughout Appalachia should prepare for the worst, especially if they are near rivers or even streams, because you never know when something like this could strike your home. Another account of the big scare caused by the flooding. Scary moments for a Jefferson County woman when she was trapped on I40 in Cocke County. It all happened Wednesday after 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain fell within about a 2-hour span near Hartford. Mackenzie Phillips was with her boyfriend and her dog on a quick trip to North Carolina. As they were driving along I40, they noticed, well, some water on the road, and then things escalated quickly. They found themselves stuck in traffic and water was rising fast.
Moses knew it was serious, but he wasn't as scared as I was. So I was like thinking that we were about to get hurt, like seriously hurt.
Tonight at 11, reporter Dominic Webster will have more from Phillips about her experience. And cleanup and repair work is underway on I40. In this video from TDOT, you can see them moving dirt and debris off of the interstate. The interstate remains closed at this time. TDOT says the road is expected to reopen in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, those wanting to travel to North Carolina, just a reminder for you, there are alternate routes that you can take. According to TDOT, you can take I-81 north up to I-26 in the Tri-Cities, and you'll take I-26 east to head toward Asheville. TDOT help trucks will also be on the detour routes list, to assist. And all traffic on 40 East will need to exit at exit 447 here in Tennessee. So there are some options for you out there to get around that closure. Our list rolls on to, for getting you ready for a big change in part of the local justice system. Tonight, Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs sharing his plans for leadership at the Richard L. Bean Juvenile Detention Center as it undergoes some major restructuring. You know, as we've told you, the facility's current superintendent, Richard Bean, has announced his retirement following controversial firings at the center. Now, the Knox County government has proposed some administration changes be made at the center, and tonight Mayor Jacobs laid out how Superintendent Bean will assist in those changes, as well as a timeline for his departure.
Mr. Bean will be retiring on August 1st, so there is a significant administrative gap as management changes. Our plan is to hire an interim superintendent on July 1st. This person will work with Mr. Bean until he retires and then take over operations, implementing a transition plan.
Also, we're learning about a potentially big impact here in East Tennessee. If fighting continues between Iran and Israel. Today, I had the chance to talk with Maryville College political science professor Dr. Mark O'Gorman while we were taping this week's episode of Tennessee This Week. He says the conflict in the Middle East could impact global shipping. O'Gorman believes that if the situation escalates, Iran could reduce or stop shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the strait is essentially a major shipping lane for getting oil out of the Middle East. And O'Gorman says closing it would increase the cost of oil, but that's not all.
And anytime you're increasing oil prices just straight up, that increases the prices of shipping around the world. It may not be as dramatic as, say, during COVID, where suddenly all the ships are parked off Long Beach, but it certainly will slow down products coming to the U.S. market, and prices will go up.
My conversation with Mark O'Gorman continues Sunday morning at 9:30 on Tennessee This Week. Plus, our panel of pundits weigh in on some of this week's other big headlines, like the Supreme Court's decision to uphold Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for children and the investigation of the West High School football program. Again, this is all coming up for you Sunday morning at 9:30 on WATE. A big mystery next tonight on our Big 7 list. We're talking about the case of a Canadian man who died in Knox County, and it remains unsolved after nearly 30 years. Investigators say Robert Adams visited Knoxville in a rental car back in 1996. He called a tow truck after locking himself out of the vehicle. We're told the driver took Adams to a motel. However, Adams never entered it. The next day, Adams' body was found, half-dressed and beaten. Investigators say he had thousands of dollars in foreign currency and 5 ounces of gold. Anyone with any information that could help crack this cold case is asked to call the Knox County Sheriff's Office's Cold Case Unit at 865-215-3520.